Hello, we're on. We're on. Oh. Hello, we're on. We're on. Oh.
Right, sorry, just getting set up. Didn't realise it had automatically kicked in. Just making space for a project tonight. A project which may even not get off the ground because it's a TV that I've purchased very cheaply. I believe it's a backlight issue. Surprise, surprise. But it may even have a damaged screen. So we may not get far. It's hard to tell at the moment. The screen does look okay. It's just filthy. So I'm going to take the stand off it and have a good look. Again, this is one of those projects that I'm just doing for the sake of doing, really. Just a little repair video. It's an LG 50-inch. It's a nice set. If the screen is in good condition, then I'm quids in, whether I flog the set on or whether I keep it. I won't flog the set on because I haven't got a full set of backlights, and you know my rule. My rule is if it's a customer's TV or if I'm selling on, then I will always use a new set of backlights, but I have to order them if I haven't got them in stock, and I doubt very much I have for this one. Then I will order from China, and it's at the moment everything's taking a heck of a lot longer. In fact, the last few purchases I bought from China, not only has it taken 2 or 3 months to get to me, but when it does arrive, I get a message from the post office saying I owe £15 postage. So not sure what's going on. But anyway, it depends how many of these backlights have gone. I mean, I'm guessing at the moment it's an LC500 DUH screen with the 6-volt backlights on these. But this is the model number anyway. This is the model number of the TV, not the screen that I've just given you. An LG50LB650v. It's a 3D TV, and so look, someone's given me a bonus. Apparently there's an Amazon Fire Stick in it. Why would you want an Amazon Fire Stick inside a smart TV? What apps are... There's probably quite a few apps on the Fire Stick, I suppose. If it's one of these that has been jailbroken. But if not, it's not going to have many more. Let's plug it in and you can see what's happening. We're just getting a screen flash, which on the LB range, a screen flash indicates backlights again. But we kind of knew that. But just judging from what I can see, the screen looks okay. A bit dirty, but okay. I hope you like the music in the background, by the way. It's a bit of bark. I do like an occasional piece of classical music. And as far as the PRS rights are concerned, not too sure where I stand with bark and YouTube. We'll find out. It's a Friday night when I'm making this video as live. And it's about 10 o'clock in the evening. And there's nothing much on the TV, apart from the President of the United States of America making his daily briefing. This has been going on for about a month now with the daily briefings from both the UK and the American world of politics. I don't know, I shouldn't say it, but boy, am I getting bored with them. Especially Trump. But anyway, let's not make this political. This is the TV. I'm sure it's a 3D model, so I'm just checking the specs. This would have been quite an expensive TV when it first came out. I would have thought you'd have been chasing 800 quid to buy this. And I imagine it's a 2000... Well, there is a date on the back, but I haven't noticed it. Someone's selling a second-hand one there for 250 quid, but not in stock. But I imagine these were £800 new. A 3D smart Wi-Fi set. It's a nice TV, and if we can get it back working, it's either something I'll stick in the workshop, because I was going to say one of my TVs is being a bit weird in the workshop, but they're all weird in the workshop. The only reason I've got TVs in the workshop is because they're all faulty as such, which can't be repaired, with silly screen issues or backlights that you can't buy anymore. So this is the spec on the TV that we're going to play with. Normally I make videos pretty quick and I edit them down quite tight, but to be honest with you, I'm I suppose like most people in the UK at the moment, or wherever you are in the world, because I would say 75% of the world is on lockdown, we're all, I think lethargic is the word. Just a bit lethargic, so no one's in the mood for rushing around because we haven't had anything to rush around to or to rush around for. Anyway, so I'll get my big empty box and take the back of this. So I'll make this video as long as I possibly can. Quite a few nice comments that have been going through, so can we have more content? I do tend to edit it down, but yes, gladly. And the reason I say gladly is because over the last couple of weeks while we've been locked down, I've been watching a lot of repair videos on YouTube, other people repairing TVs or people that repair laptops and computers and stuff. And I found myself getting excited if the video is about half an hour long, whereas mine usually, mine have been 10 minutes to 20 minutes, and I suppose if you do enjoy this sort of stuff, and I'm editing bits out, I'm diddling you out of valuable program time. I don't exactly know how exciting it is to see me here just taking all the screws out, but I will. And hopefully this video, the quality will be pretty good. The last couple of videos I made, I had a setting wrong, I think. What did I do? I changed... Oh, yes. I changed something in the master camera settings. And when I've rendered the video, it made the picture much smaller. The aspect ratio was incorrect. And I'm pleased to say we've got all the cameras up and running again now. I think it's got about 4 HDMIs, this TV, if I remember correctly. It's a Freeview HD one. I've taken all the screws out and yet it still doesn't want to come off. Why doesn't it want to come off? That screws out, that screws out. Is it stuck down somewhere, this model? Obviously yes it is, but I've freed it. Right, well we can see the power board on the left, main board on the right, and the speakers, and the T-con under in the middle. But something that surprised me, and I'm just getting my camera out here if this is going to work so I can zoom in. It's not the screen I was expecting. This is an AU screen, not one of the usual LG screens. So this is the screen. I wonder if that's because it's a 3D TV. Didn't LG ever make any of their own 3D screens? Maybe they didn't. Or maybe, like all manufacturers, they just ran out of the usual 50-inch LC500 DUH panel and stuck some others in. It will more than likely have the same backlights in, though, the 6-volt individual backlights. As I say, I'm not too sure how far we can get with this video, because sometimes in the back of these TVs, they tend to have, well, let's say there could be between 5 and 10 backlights that have failed. If that's the case, I really have then got to order a new set. But if it's just 3 or 4, and as I say, I'm not really au fait with what I'm going to do with this TV. It may stay in the workshop with me, but I've got more than enough TVs. So I'll make that decision after I see how many backlights have failed. If it's just 2 or 3, again, the old rule will apply, whereas as long as the backlights are kept down below 50, this goes up to 100, doesn't it? Because each TV manufacturer does things differently. Vestel have low, medium, high. Panasonic, in some of the later Panasonics, you couldn't adjust the backlight settings. LG have 1 to 100, Samsung have 1 to 20. But if we do manage to get this up and running and the backlights are kept down, it can last years, even though my main rule is always replacing the whole lot if I possibly can. But I'm just filling time, fed up with watching TV and silly stuff on the TV. You can go a bit bat stir crazy. And I've had this TV in for about, probably 6 months now, so I decided it's time to have a look and see if I can get it up and running again. And then I'll decide what I'm going to do with it. If I have to replace all the backlights on this one day, it would mean stripping it down to absolutely nothing. Well, we're 60% of the way anyway, aren't we? Let's face it. But to finish the job off, the main board and the T-Con and the PSU would have to come off. As it is, the speaker unit and the surround's got to come off anyway. One thing I've just noticed while having a rummage around, let's put that over there. One thing I've noticed is, obviously there's screws around the edge of the TV, which you would expect to see to hold the front bezel on. But there seems to be 2 lots, and I'm just wondering if the screen bezel itself, if they've got screws holding that in as well. We'll come to that when we come to that. But if so, it looks like it's a quality made panel, which is something you don't see, and LG always have screws around the side. But there seems to be a double set, so I gather there's screws holding the front bezel in, and then there seem to be some screws underneath those which seem to be holding the screen bezel in, if that makes sense. Right, I'm just getting the metal T-Con shield off. This is usually a bit of fun. It's 2 pieces of metal that are hiding the screen tabs and protecting the screen tabs. Well, that came away quite easily actually, but sometimes you do have to wrestle with them. There's 2 screws in each, and then they're kind of clipped into the base, the back of the screen, and you just have to release a clip a little bit. But sometimes even when you release the clip, it still doesn't want to come away. You can end up wrestling, and sometimes they do get a bit bent. But that came away pretty easily, and hopefully once I get the screws out of this one, just doing the second screw here. If you're just interested in how we're going to do the backlights, you may need to fast forward because I'm not going to edit it down too much. I mean, I would imagine this is going to take me... Normally a backlight job on a 50-inch TV would take an hour and a half. But I'm just not in... I just feel like I'm on a go slow. And I think we're all feeling that way currently, so no major rush. Thank you very much to all the people that have got in contact with me and asked questions and have suggested things. I always do appreciate that. I don't know how the algorithms work with YouTube. I've heard they're quite questionable. I mean, some of my videos haven't even got 100 views. Yet I get so many comments and so many emails on them. I don't know how that works. And as I've probably mentioned before, I'm not doing this to be A, professor, a teacher, or B, to try and get as many hits as possible and make money. I'm doing this because A, I like TV repairs, and that is currently my chosen profession. Or did it choose me? No, I think I chose it. Something I always wanted to do. But I also like video editing as well, which is why I film it and stick it on YouTube. So I don't tend to be the master of all knowledge on this, but if it does help people, and then the more power to your elbow, as they say. You just have to be, when it comes to electronics, you just have to use the sensible approach. And if you know a little bit, especially when you're dealing with repairing a power board, just common sense stuff, that even though something may be unplugged, capacitors, the main filter capacitors, always hold a charge. Sometimes they can hold a charge for days. You can get a nasty bite. I can't imagine a TV engineer, TV repair, or anyone that dabbles in electronics hasn't had a nasty shock from these power boards when you forget to discharge the capacitors. So if you are tempting to have a go for the first time, good on you. But always think ahead and think safely, please. At all times, everything that I plug in, all TVs that I plug in go into an isolation transformer, so I'm as safe as I possibly can be. I live on a quiet country lane, and yes, I have a dog. And if the dog smells or sees anyone, because he's always got his head out the bedroom window, if he hears anybody walking past, even at this time of night, he'll go on a barking mission until they've passed. Good burglar alarm. Right, these are the screws I'm taking out here, which I mentioned earlier. These are just the main front bezel. It's got a really nice colourful front bezel on these. I think I called it a golden bronzy colour. Whether that'll date in time or not, I don't know. TVs are very strange with fashion and colour. It's only about 4 or 5 years ago that everybody wanted a cream TV, and now creamy white TVs look very old, don't they? Sorry if your TV's a creamy white one. I've got plenty in the lockup to repair. I must do some of those. Yeah, so this is the main front bezel that I'm just unscrewing. And then there are some screws under the front bezel, which I do believe just holding the screen bezel in. And even though that's a pain because it's extra screws, and as you may notice, I'm struggling with some tape. They've hidden the screws down each particular side with industrial sticky tape. So I have to get the tape off so I can get to the screw. And there's only one way to get the screw off. There's no it's pointless trying to be neat and tidy with this stuff. And I shan't be putting the tape back. So just thinking ahead on this TV then. The first thing I'm going to check is that the screen's okay. Some people can say, well, you can always tell if the screen's okay just by looking at it. Well, not always. Maybe you can in broad daylight, but it's 10:15 on a Friday night here. And I've tried lighting it up at all sorts of angles, and I can't see any breaks or cracks in it. And when we did plug it in and we got the pulsating backlight, it did seem to look like it was okay. It's filthy, the TV. That's it. TV screens do get really dirty, and even the ones that I have in my home. The TV in the main room, I noticed the other day, was filthy. But never even, you know, I don't bother cleaning it. Well, I did that day because I just suddenly thought this is ridiculous. But when you take a screen off, it's happened on a couple of occasions that I've been working on a TV and I'm thinking, oh, I'm looking forward to repairing this. Take the screen off, and as soon as the screen comes off, you just see massive cracks from the other side. Very disheartening when it happens. I went through a stage after repairing TVs for a couple of years. I went through a stage of being very disheartened. I'm very nervous about taking large screens out. And I class a 50-inch as a large screen. But I remember asking somebody to help me. I said, oh, this is a 49-inch screen. Can you just help me? And help me take it off. And they did. And they helped me put it back. And when we put it back, we cracked it. And after that, I suddenly thought, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I'm fed up of cracking screens. I think I went through a process of accidentally cracking a couple of screens. And now whenever I remove a screen, I'm always thinking, oh, is this one going to go? I don't believe in those clamps. Some people use these sucker clamps. And I've tried some. I bought some. I don't know where they are now. But you do have to put some pressure on the screen to get the clamp to stick on, and that really does... Well, I think that's riskier than lifting it up with your bare hands. Right, for some particular reason, all the screws are out now for the bezel, but it's not coming away. And I've removed all the screws, so something is still holding it on. Probably just a piece of tape somewhere, but I can't see it. Come on. Ah, there's a bit of tape here. There's a little black piece of tape just holding that in. I didn't notice that. So that could be the reason why that is not coming away. And it is. I was being defeated by a piece of tape, 2mm square. Right, that's the front bezel off. Time to remove the screen. You can't see this bit. I'm on my knees and I've got the screen overlapping the workbench so I can get to the screen tabs and release them safely. Sometimes if I lift the TV up now and try and release the tabs, the screen can drop down a little bit from the bezel. And that puts pressure on the tabs and the ribbons. So I'm trying to do it the proper way. Just trying to take it easy and... because obviously this is the bit where we make or break the TV, I suppose, because if the screen goes here, or if I break the tab, not giving due care and attention. Right, up it comes. Luckily the screen doesn't have to travel far, just a few meters, so... not just a few meters, just a few inches. And it's resting on some soft carpet, so it should be fine there. And I'm just having a look. I know you can't see it from the angle the camera's pointing at, but I'm just having a look at the screen and it's in really good condition. Well, this side it's in good condition, and I'll clean it up if and when we do get it repaired. The big question now is going to be how many backlights have failed. I'm not too sure with this screen. I don't know if I've ever worked... well, of course I've worked on an AU screen before, but I don't know if I've worked on this particular panel. And if I have, I've completely forgotten. It looks like the screen bezel, and this is another sign of a good quality TV, or at least a good quality panel anyway, but it looks like the screen bezel is not a whole unit. Hence the screws I was talking about earlier. It looks like they're in 4 separate pieces. Now, that'll drive some people crazy because it just means taking them off 4 different occasions rather than all at once. But to me that just means a little bit of extra effort has been put into it. So again, giving me a reason why, another good reason why I should repair the TV. I mentioned at the top that it's a, let me just take this one off. That it's a 3D TV. And I don't know if that means much these days. I don't know if you can still buy 3D Blu-rays. We went through a spate about 3 or 4 years ago where there were loads. I don't even know if people do 3D at the cinema anymore. Is that stopped as well at the cinema, or is that still a thing? I would imagine in a few years' time, 3D televisions will be quite rare. Maybe have a premium price on them, so... maybe when I repair this, I should store it in the attic for 10 years and see how much it's worth. No, I know, stupid idea. There are 2 screws down the side and 2 screws at the top, holding that bezel in place. But no screws at the bottom. I don't know why. Just didn't think it needed any at the bottom. Right, well, we're getting to the business end of this. This is where I find out exactly how many of those LEDs, and even though it's a different screen, I use the same LEDs. If I find out there's probably, you know, 10 or 15, then I'm not going to replace those individually because it would take me just too long. But 4 or 5 I can handle. And if it is 4 or 5, oh, the bottom section's working. That's all lighting up. If I remember correctly, these are wired. They're bi-wired, so there's two sets. I should be able to light either the bottom 2 or bottom 3. Let's try the bottom 3. Yes. And then I can try and light up the top 2. Well, they're all working, so far this is looking quite good. Maybe after all this it's an LE driver problem or a power supply unit problem. I get so blasé with repairs on backlights that I don't check the power supply anymore. That'll come and bite me one day, but hopefully not today. Are they all working? They're all working. Oh, no. We have... I'll just switch to the other camera. Yeah, look. Just one gone. Wow. And it's obviously a bulb which has gone, as we say in the old-fashioned sense, rather than shorted out. If it had shorted out, it would have carried on working, but it's gone and it's stopped the continuity. Oh, well, if it's only one connected to that top left-hand strip, then my plan will be... And the fact that it's on a top strip is even better. It means I don't have to take the whole screen to bits to get the LEDs out. I can just remove a few of these clips here. Like that one. When I'm twisting it, it's not coming out. It's not a twist and take out. You have to push it down or pull it down depending on which angle you're going. So I only have to remove a few of these clips, screen supports, probably 2 or 3. There's probably another 3 or 4 of the smaller ones, which is holding the reflector sheet down. And I think this top strip of backlights is probably a strip of 5. And there's only one gone on it, which is amazing. So for the sake of one LED, this TV will be up and running again. I've decided to do it properly. I am taking my time on this, so there's no rush. As I mentioned earlier, exactly what I'm going to do with this TV once I've repaired it, I've got no idea. I keep thinking I'll use it in the workshop, but I've got so many in there. There's about 5 or 6 TVs. All are being used. Some are connected to computers, some are connected to microscopes. But I don't really need any more. But again, I don't really want to sell this TV without putting a new set of complete backlights in. Anyway, bear with me while I'm just going to take out the one strip that I need. The fact that it's the top strip, I've just got to remove more of these little clips and put them all somewhere safe. Then I can remove the faulty strip. And I think I'll get my shopjimmy.com hot plate. That tends to work pretty well. Takes a bit of time to heat. Well, it doesn't take time to heat up, but it does actually heat up very quickly, but it takes the time to get the solder molten on the LED backlight itself. But that'll be a good excuse to go and make a cup of tea. I was after one of these hot plates. I bought it about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And I didn't buy it from Shop Jimmy in America, even though it is one of theirs. It was somebody else that had it in the UK. But it does say on the hot plate 120 volts AC. So I did get in contact with Shop Jimmy and say, well, I bought one off eBay. I didn't get it from you guys. But we are 240 volts here. And they said it'll still work. And it does. Yeah, just confirming that that's the one that's gone. I mean, this was the days when backlights were very expensive. That's why I bought a hot plate and lots of TV engineers bought a hot plate, because the only way in those days you could repair a backlight situation is exactly the way I'm doing it now. Because buying a full set of backlights were ridiculously expensive. Then. They're not now. Luckily, some of our friends in China are making them noon, morning and night. So the hot plate's on. I'm just looking for something to support the other side of the LED strip. That's the right size. That'll do it. Stick that under there. So I'll let that get to temperature. I mean, this hot plate, you know, they get really, really hot. I'm going to go for make a cup of tea while it does its stuff, and I'll have to do some editing here. Right. It's to temperature, so we've taken the old one out. I've just touched it up with a bit of extra solder because one of the pads didn't come off correctly, so there's a bit of extra solder on there. Just put this one on. And it's a case of just lining it up. And once it's smack in position, I just switch the hot plate off. This is the annoying bit. It's so important to get this LED as straight as you possibly. It'll work a bit cock a hoop. It'll still light up, but it will cause a shadow. So you really do need to get the LED spot on. And I'm just removing it from the hot plate now so it cools down. And then I'll double check that it lights up. And it does. And I'll just make sure that it's not going to move and it's secure and it's tight. It's made a good join. And then I'll glue the lens back on. And then it'll be just time to reassemble the TV. Just seems a bit strange that it's taken 45 minutes to disassemble the TV. It's only taken that long because I'm talking and I'm on a bit of a go slow. Under normal circumstances, I could have probably disassembled this TV in about 20-25 minutes maybe. But then again, you know, it's not a race, it's not a rush, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is getting the screen back in place, making sure that everything is fine, not breaking the screen. We've got the LEDs back in, so let's test and see if they all come on. And they do. I can see through my screen that you're seeing the normal horizontal lines. But they're all lit up. And they're looking fine. The only slight difference is the one that I've replaced, I've put a brand new one, a brand new 6 volt 2 watt LED in. Sorry, I've just noticed I knocked a lens off one of the others. They can become so fragile, the lenses, on these after time. So one's come off. And what I'll do before I put this TV back together, I'll tap all the lenses just to make sure they're all stuck on properly. But the one that I've put in, the newer ones, they are slightly brighter than the rest. And that's not going to be an issue as long as A, you've put the LED in straight and in exactly the right way it should have been put in, and B, you put the LED lens on correctly. But if you get either one of those or both of those just remotely, slightly wrong, so if I put too much solder on so the LED's at an angle, or if I didn't put the lens on correctly, you'd notice it on the screen. It'll be annoying for after all the work, you know, spending an hour or two trying to sort out, realizing you haven't done a proper job. So you have to get that bit right. Anyway, quick edit done. TV back together. I've even cleaned the screen. I haven't put the stand back on yet. I haven't got any 3D glasses. I'd like to have given this a 3D test. I possibly have got some 3D glasses somewhere. They're not the active glasses on these, are they? These are the passive ones. So I'm just going to stand the TV up and just give it a test. Remember, it's a decent-sized TV. It's a 50-inch. Definitely not ready for landfill yet. Nowhere near ready for landfill. The only reason you would chuck a TV like this away is if the screen has cracked. And there we have it. We have a picture. Again, you're going to see some horizontal lines on the screen. It's the way the camera causes the flicker. The one thing I've noticed on this model, and I don't know if anyone's ever had this model in its variants of 32-inch, 40... It comes in 32, 42, 50, 55 and 65. But it was very slow at responding to the remote commands on all of them. We used to get a lot of people bringing them in for repair, saying, "Oh, can you fix it? It's very slow. You change channel and it takes a second or two." On the remote control, people would class that as a fault. But it's not a fault, and it was nothing that could be repaired, because you could swap the main board over, but it would be exactly the same. It's just the way the software was programmed. It wasn't an instant response. I like the software of these. I do like the layout. I don't think this is the latest web operating software for LG. I think there's been one or two variants since this one. I can't keep up. But it all seems fine. So there we go. One backlight. It's got a nice TV. Up and running again. Thank you very much for watching.